Hello friends, Heidi here from Rain Country. God is good all the time. And just so you know what today is, because by the time you see this video, it's going to be at least a week, maybe even as much as 2 weeks out. By the time I get it published, today is July 9th. It is a Monday, and I'm standing here in front of my blueberries, or at least one of my blueberry shrubs, and I wanted to do a little bit of a deck overview, garden overview, and talk about the blueberries that I have all in pots and how I take care of them. So I'm gonna go ahead and grab the camera and do a little tour. I know I move a little bit too much and I'm sorry. It's just the easiest way for me to get all this in here. So let me show you around the deck a little bit and then we'll get into talking about the blueberries and how I take care of them. Okay, let me start right here with this corner. This is the entryway up onto our deck. So this wood stove here is actually our very old wood stove that we used to have in the house before we replaced it with the bigger one with the flat top. I could do a lot more cooking on the flat top than I could on this step style one. And so yes, it's getting kind of rusty and stuff, but we decided we just sort of liked it more as a conversation piece. Anyway, onto the gardening. So you can see my pansies. They're starting to get to the point where they're starting to finish up, and I'm hoping to fill them in with my new pansies coming in, ones that started themselves from seed. I realized once they bloomed, I knew for sure what they were. So I got a lot of these little pansy plants like this, and these were some of my favorites. So this is the wild one. The wild pansies, the smaller ones, or the Johnny Jump Ups, or the Viola Tricolor, are the ones that have the most medicinal properties in them anyway, even though those big ones, like those right there, can be so beautiful. Anyway, so in this taller pot was something Patrick built years ago. I always like to put some beans, some runner beans, and then just let them climb up. And I didn't get as many bean plants in there this year, I guess, but they're growing well, and they're going all the way up to there. And you can see my pretty wind chime that I got for my son, my youngest son, for my birthday. And randomly here, I've got a tomato in a pot. This is my first year trying tomatoes in pots up, especially up on my deck. My first year trying tomatoes in pots, period, because I ended up with a lot of tomato starts and decided I would try something different. And they're just looking so healthy. This is just a couple of cherry trees that Patrick brought up from California when he went down to visit his dad, that will eventually be planting out front if they do well. And these are a sweet cherry, so I think I don't know if they're actually Bing cherries, but they're supposed to be a sweeter cherry rather than the pie cherry. Now let me go to this opposite side here where you can see I've got my rocket stove set up. Right here are two of my blueberries. You can't really see the pots because they're hiding back there, but there's one pot, there's two pots. And then these are just some random things. I got a calendula back there that's not getting enough sun, so I need to move it out. And the marjoram. This is an apple tree, another one of those things that we need to get in the ground. It's actually been in here for quite a few years, and it's doing okay. It's actually got the most apples we've ever seen on it, but they're tiny. So we either get a few apples that are really big, or we get a lot of apples that are really tiny. I've thought about thinning them out, but I just can't bring myself to do it. I wanted to show you, now I haven't been out here picking yet today, but I do have quite a few blueberries that are ready to pick. Now one thing about blueberries is you want to keep picking them every day. You'll just get a better result if you keep picking at them every day. And this little thing coming up right here is some of the grapevines coming through. I do try to keep those pruned back. In fact, I did just cut those way back. Now, some people have been wondering about the grapevines. No, they are not in pots. The grapevines are in the ground. I have 3 in the ground, so let me pan back over here this way. This is blueberry number 3, also in a pot. And then down there in the ground, alongside the stairs, is one of my grape plants. And then if you go to the opposite side, there's another one. So both this one and the one here are the Niagara whites. I used to have a buffalo blue and it died on me. It was the first one to produce grapes, but then it died. So here's blueberry shrub number 4, also in a pot. Another tomato in a pot, some calendula doing really good, and a few other random things in that big pot. This is blueberry number 4. And let's take a look at these blueberries. Here, and that back in there, in that area that's down lower, that is my thornless blackberries. And this over here in this pot is blueberry number 6. What did I count this right? 5 and 6. So I have 3 on each side. There's 3 over there. Entryway into the main garden, and then there's 3 up here. And then down here you can see under each one, these are the dollies that, oh, that's not a blueberry. That used to have a tree in it, but it died. It was a plum tree. But we still have a dolly for that one. But Patrick made a dolly for each one of these so that we could move them around as needed. Last year we put a treatment on the deck, so we needed to be able to move everything around. And yes, that's another tomato. So there's only some of these smaller ones that don't have dollies for them, and eventually we'll probably do that too, just to make it easy to move everything. So what I do with my blueberries, one of the things I need to do this year for sure when they're all done putting out their berries, is I'm going to prune these down quite a bit. I like them about the height they are, but what will happen is once the blueberries are done, these will really start shooting up big, and they're already too big. I've got berries that, you know, some of this coming out farther than it should be. And then what happens too is the grapevines, like I said, I prune these way back. They will come out really far this way and then totally overshadow the blueberries, and then the blueberries don't get any sun. And so there's this kind of happy medium. And by the way, you can see that I've got little grape flowers right now. They're flowering all over the place. So we're gonna have, if we walk through here, we're gonna have grapes bumping us in the head. But the nice thing about having the grapes growing a little bit over the blueberries is it helps hide them from the robins and keeps the robins off of them. So when I prune them back, I have to be I still want to leave a little bit to sort of keep them hidden, and yet not so much that they're choking out the blueberries or preventing them from getting any sun. But they seem to not mind not having total all day sun. But anyway, back to how I care for them in the pots. As you can see, sometimes I'll just allow dandelions to grow. Grass I tried to keep out of. For some reason, the ones over here, I've been having a lot of issues with grass, and I've been having a hard time keeping up on it. But anyway, it's really very simple keeping a good healthy blueberry in a pot. And that is just, you just want to keep piling stuff on there. So 2 times of the year at least, I try to pile a big pile of grass clippings. They love, love, love grass clippings. And then I also 2 times of the year try to get 1 cup per pot of the organic blood meal in each one. They love blood meal. They love acidic soil. And then chicken manure. Chicken manure is one of their other favorite things. So we recently had put, well, not recently, but in the early spring, we took the stuff from out of the chicken coop and put a bunch of it on the blueberries. And so those 3 things, chicken manure, grass clippings, and blood meal. And I am actually thinking I don't even really need the blood meal anymore. And so I didn't put any on this spring. Usually spring and fall is when I do it. But I wanted to see how well they did without that extra fertilization, because I have to buy the blood meal. I don't have to buy the grass clippings, and I don't have to buy the chicken manure. So as long as you do that and then keep them pruned back and then continue to harvest them as soon as they're ripe. I actually like to pick my blueberries before they get super ripe. We like them just a little bit on the tart side where they're still even just a little bit red. I think they have the best flavor that way. And so I wanted to get out here and shoot this video because, as you can see, I've got a whole bunch I need to pick. And I didn't get a picture, but I had this one that was just massive that I picked the other day. It was the biggest one I think I've seen yet on my blueberries. Okay, now I'm just going to give you a quick peek from here of what our main garden is looking like. Again, today, the day that I'm shooting this, is July 9th. So it's going to be, what, maybe the 15th by the time you see this, or so. So some of the stuff you see out here is just laundry hanging out. But anyway, these are marshmallows. This one right here is at least 10 feet tall now, as are a couple of my snow peas down there. They are huge. My rhubarb in the center is doing really well. My corn way over there. The beans are starting to come along. And the white flowers you see out there are the feverfew. And the blue is the borage, or it looks purple from here really. And then the catnip right there, purple. And then I got to show you close up of this. I did take out our goji berry, and that was in this pot, and we just got this currant yesterday. So it was in a tiny little pot, so that's why the leaves look like they do. So that we just put it in here yesterday, so it should start taking off. And oh, I forgot to say, banana peels is another thing I like to throw. I throw them everywhere. I throw them in the blueberry pots. I throw them in. I'm putting them now in the currant pots. And this one we've had a little bit longer. Its leaves were turning yellow when we got it a week before, and you can see the berries are getting ripe. So had to get rid of the goji berry and replace it with something that was going to produce. But I will be talking more about this main garden in future videos, so be watching for those. I'll back up here so you can see the grapevines from this side. They're just berserk. They're everywhere. I mean, they're going crazy. And then this is the entryway up on the deck. So we actually don't even have real handrails here. We just have these posts. We never got the handrails put in. The grapevines ended up making somewhat of a handrail on their own. Grapes everywhere, and they're just, I would have never dreamed that in our climate that grapes would do so well. Obviously they come along a lot later than in like California and places like that, but we get grapes. We get lots of them. Okay, and now let's do a little pan right here. I'm going to finish out this video so you can just kind of get an idea what the whole deck looks like all together. Not real pretty with the rocket stove and the canner out here. I did finally can something yesterday, so now that it's out, I think I'll be doing potatoes here pretty quick since I dug up all those potatoes. But anyway, so that's the deck garden for now. I'll probably be doing future videos on this as well. Really not much more to talk about until I get to the grape harvest, but yeah, so there you go. And also to show you it can be done. I got tomatoes growing in pots up here. I got blueberries growing in pots. I've got some herbs. I've got the calendula over there that's getting ready to bloom. And the pansies and all kinds of goodies. And an apple just fell off my tree. So yeah, it's a self-pruning itself. Anyway, there you go. Okay, well I hope you enjoyed this video and that you learned something new about container gardening. Thanks for watching. Take care and God bless.